Welcome to Daps Magic, Disney and Positive Stuff. I'm Mr. Daps, and I'm excited to talk to you this week about all of the big changes coming to Disney experiences. We have a lot of news to cover, and this is going to go fast, I have a feeling. But before we get into all of that, take a moment to subscribe if you haven't. If you haven't yet, please rate this podcast. We'd love to have your rating, and we'd love it if you would share and join the conversation at Daps Magic HQ so we can talk more about all of the changes coming to Disney experiences, particularly from the perspective of the Disneyland Resort. With that in mind, let's get into the news. This week, it was announced that Thomas Mazloum will be taking over the role of Disney Experiences Chairman from his current role as the Disneyland Resort President. Now, this is a big change for many people because he just came a year ago, and really the effects of his tenure as Disneyland Resort President are just beginning to be felt. Replacing him is Jill Estorino, who is currently President and Manager of Disney Parks International. This means she oversees Europe and also Asia. But first, let's talk about Thomas Mazloum. For the last year, he has been building what we call the Mazloum era here at the Disneyland Resort. He's really done this by focusing on three core principles: quality, simplicity, and trust. He's really focused on those three things, and with that, he's tried to reach new guests, keep the current guests happy, and also really take care of the cast members because he recognizes that they're the glue that hold all of this together. He really has a focus on human connection. As we got to speak with him a couple of weeks ago, that was something that came up frequently, was the need for human connection. The magical moments happen through human connection. And a lot of different perspectives and opinions came back to magic comes from human connection, whether it's through the invisible magic of engineering and maintenance and stuff behind the scenes, or entertainment, or even the customer service component. All of it comes back to human connection. He's also been focusing on making the Disneyland Resort more accessible for young families. He's done this through changing the timelines of when things are being constructed or when construction is happening, and enabling Monsters, Inc., Mike and Sully to the Rescue to stay open longer. In fact, it'll remain open through all of 2026 because of this, and at the same time, not having to delay whatever internal schedule Disney has for Coco, for Avatar, and even the Eastern Gateway, which is all coming, and it'll be very exciting to see how this happens. But that's just the start of what's happening. What we've also seen is a cultural shift. We've seen Disneyland going from an era of recovery and reopening that came after the pandemic, and with all of the ups and downs that came with that, into an era truly of kindness and hospitality. And as we listened to Mazloum talk a couple weeks ago, there was lots of discussion as he returned to that simplicity core value of trying to take all of these different elements of the Disneyland Resort and help them harmonize so that they can really offer something that's simple and quality that guests can enjoy. And that's been something that's been very interesting to see and to realize as we've been going to the parks, and then hearing it come from Thomas Mazloum and his leadership team at the Disneyland Resort, recognizing, oh, this is what I've been experiencing, and it's not some fluke of, oh, we're recovering after the pandemic. This is an intentional thing that's being worked on and really focused on, and because of that focus, it is growing and it's getting better. And that's something that's very exciting as Thomas moves into this next role, because his next role, he'll be overseeing all of the parks, all of the cruise line, Disney consumer products, lots of exciting things that will now be under his purview. He is going to be focusing on the future of all of the things that we regularly experience that are outside of the Disney entertainment world and the Disney ESPN world, although all of these worlds are starting to get closer and closer together as synergy works, and they really try to make it a more immersive storytelling experience for guests, whether it's through sports, whether it's through entertainment or through experiences. They're trying to connect them all and really help the guest and the viewer connect with the brand. And so what we're going to see is these things that we've seen locally happening. the focus on human connection, the focus on quality, on simplicity, those kinds of things, those are going to grow because in his new role as Disney Experiences chairman, he can now implement that vision and build that trust that has been built in the last year, and actually many years at Disneyland Resort between Disney and its guests. He can continue to build on that from the perspective of looking at all of the parks, at looking at all of the ships, all of the, interactions that come through Disney consumer products, video games. Like there's going to be so many different parts of the Disney experience that Thomas Mazloum will now be able to really have his fingers on and have his vision for, of building that quality, building that effort towards harmonizing towards simplicity, and then building the trust with the guest or the consumer. And that's something I think that's really going to be exciting. And for guests at the Disneyland Resort that are currently bemoaning the fact that Thomas Mazloum is moving onward and upward, I think we can take comfort in the fact that he's not going anywhere. I think we can also take comfort in the fact that he's taking over from Josh D'Amaro, who is the current chairman of Disney Experiences, who's moving on to the role of CEO, who also is very in tune with the need for human connection, for quality, for great, not just good enough. Everybody's heard the story by now of Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, how he acknowledged that people like it, but they don't love it, and people need to love it. And as we're moving into this new era of Disney Experiences, which will be the Mazloum era of Disney Experiences, under the whole D'Amaro era of the Walt Disney Company, we have a lot to look forward to. Because yes, there's business choices that we may not always agree with or like, but the bigger picture of these people and these leaders are something to be excited about. They value people. That doesn't mean, like, you can value someone and not always agree with them. And I think that's an important distinction to remember as we're looking at the future of the company and as we enter this new era. And what we've seen with Josh D'Amaro and what we've seen with Thomas is both of them are very people-centric. They really value the people in front of them. If you've talked to either of them, you know they are zoned in on you while you talk, and you are the only person in the world to them in that moment. And that's something that's good to know, because that means it's a part of their decision-making process. It's not just about how we can make a quick buck. It's not just about how we can, like, they're not going to try to pull one over on us. They are going to try to provide a quality experience or a quality product that guests are going to love and want to return for. And I really think that's probably the path that's going forward, because when you think of what Thomas was really focused on at Disneyland Resort was current guests, future guests, and cast members, all people-centric things. But he recognized that if you invested in these three things, you were going to really create a healthy business environment. And I think that's a really important thing to note, that's where his focus is. And I don't think that changes when he moves on to Disney Experiences. Just as Josh D'Amaro that you meet today is the same guy that I met in 2018, 2019, whenever he was a Disneyland Resort President, before he went on to Walt Disney World, Disney Experiences, and now the role of CEO. And those are things to keep in mind, because I think at the end of the day, you have to really either be bought in on leadership or not at all. And this is where the business and the consumer relationship is so important. If you buy into the leadership of the Walt Disney Company or Disney Experiences or even just Disneyland, and you think it's run by the right people and heading in the right direction, to me, that is a great way or a great place to spend your money. If you don't think it's being run by the right people and you don't think it's heading in the right direction and you do think things are going, being handled in a wrong way, then I wouldn't spend my money there. I've been told throughout most of my life that people show what's important to them by where they spend their time and where they spend their money. And every dollar that you spend is a vote for the world that you want. So as you're thinking about, do I like where Diamaro and where Mazloum and Estorino are heading. If you like that, I would continue to spend money there and show up to the Disneyland Resort or Walt Disney World if you go there. And if you don't like it, you should probably vote with your pocketbook and tell Disney, like, hey, I would like something different. Because one of the other things that's defined the Mazloum era at the Disneyland Resort really is the ability to listen. It was made very clear to us at this business update event a couple of weeks ago that they live and breathe by guest feedback. Every letter, every email, every piece of feedback is read and evaluated. And these are the things that help inform the decisions that are made for the future of Disney. So if you don't like something, in a very gracious and kind way, reach out to Disney and tell them so. If you love something, same thing, tell them so. I think it's very often very easy as fans to complain about the things we don't like and take for granted the things that we do. And one of the things I would encourage is always, if you like it, say something about it. If you see a cast member that does something great or just makes for a magical moment, go into the Disneyland app and do that guest compliment thing. Because if they're not getting the feedback from you that's positive, they're going to have to base their information and base their decisions on the feedback from whatever's coming in. And that really is something to keep in mind, is we have a responsibility as guests and Disney fans as well, that's to be a part of that conversation and to be a positive part of that conversation. You know, it's very easy to just shout at a wall. Is it going to change the world? Probably not. But when you have a dialogue and a conversation, that's where things can change. That's where you can start really making connections. And through that human connection, which going back to that, is where really the world can change. Like, that is a positive way to change the world. You can build things up instead of tear them down, because I do think at the end of the day, we all love Disney and we want it to be better. I think that's true for the cast members. I think that's true for leadership. And I think that's true for us as guests. I don't think anybody goes to Disney thinking, you know, I wish I could ruin it today. I can't imagine a cast member saying that. I can't imagine an executive that I've ever met, even the ones that maybe weren't as popular and made less than savory decisions. But I don't think anybody is out to ruin the company. I do think people have different perspectives on what's going to make Disney the best Disney it possibly can. And that's where being a Disney fan is so exciting and so interesting. It's also where it's going to be very interesting to see what the Mazloum era of Disney experiences looks like, what the Diamaro era of the Walt Disney Company looks like, and what the Jill Estorino era here at Disneyland Resort looks like. It's going to be an exciting time because we have a bunch of new things coming in. As we have these new things coming in, we also have a new leader coming in, one that I would tend to guess most people at the Disneyland Resort simply do not know a whole lot about. But what I can tell you, Jill Estorino has a very long history with the Walt Disney Company. She's been around for 35 years, I think over 35 years, actually. She's coming from a role where she has overseen Disney Parks International. That means she has seen things like World of Frozen come to Hong Kong and soon to Disneyland Paris, Zootopia in Shanghai, Fantasy Springs at Tokyo. How much of us absolutely love Fantasy Springs at Tokyo Disney Sea? It's absolutely beautiful. And you look at the things that have happened under her tenure as president and manager of Disney Parks International. And that's something to be excited about, because these are the types of projects that were teased through the whole process of pitching and approving Disneyland Forward. This is the direction that Disneyland's moving in the future. Yes, we have Coco in the near future. Yes, we have Avatar in the near future. Yes, we have a new parking lot, which we're all actually very excited about in the near future. I will love getting into the parking lot that much quicker and hopefully into the parks that much quicker. But she has done things from a bigger perspective, whole lands. That's a really exciting thing. And as I look at World of Frozen, It's absolutely beautiful. Like, my nieces and nephews absolutely love Frozen. I appreciate it because of them. I recognize it's got fantastic music, great stories, all of that stuff. It's not my favorite Disney film, and for no other reason than I have other favorites. I grew up with Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin and The Lion King, and the kids that were my age when those movies came out today, when Frozen's coming out, have the same sort of connections and feelings, and that emotion that just comes out when you think of Frozen and Anna and Elsa and Olaf and Kristoff and all of those characters. And so you start thinking of Jill Estorino coming to the Disneyland Resort, and you start thinking of the expansions that could be coming to the Disneyland Resort as well in the coming years. Yes, we have individual attractions and areas coming that may not be as grand of scale as something like World of Frozen or Zootopia yet. But don't you think maybe she's the right time, or the right person at the right time, to start bringing in some of those things that were concept art in the Disneyland Forward proposals? And I would also like to think that maybe the ducks are all in a row now. We've got Josh D'Amaro in the top job as CEO. You've got Thomas Mazloum as Disney Experiences chairman. I don't see either of these two roles changing super quickly. Like, in a perfect world, Josh will be in that role for the foreseeable future. 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, who knows? It's anybody's ballgame. But I would think at least 5 to 10 years. And you start thinking, well, he's probably going to be hopefully happy with his team. So maybe we get 5 years of Thomas Mazloum in this role. Maybe we even get 5 years of Jill Estorino in this role of Disneyland Resort President. And it creates a stability for fans to really have a connection with the Disneyland Resort President, to know the direction that the company is headed, specifically, for Disney Experiences, because that's kind of the main focus of the regular Disneyland Resort guest, I think. And that's probably the point that connects the most for them. And as we're moving into these next years, maybe all of the changes of the previous years, because there's been quite a few, I think we could acknowledge, but maybe that's been leading to stability now for the Disneyland Resort that maybe hasn't been there in the past. Thomas for only a year, Ken for a couple of years, but Rebecca Campbell for a blink of an eye. Before her, Josh D'Amaro. Like, there's been quite a few through the years. And one thing I will say is everybody's been kind of moving around and moving up and moving to other places. And it's very possible that now we're looking at an era that is also defined by a little bit more stability for the Disneyland Resort, and maybe even all of experiences in general. And that could be an exciting thing to see. You think of Natasha Rafalski in Disneyland Paris, who's been there for several years right now. And it seems like the Disneyland Paris fans really have a connection with her and love seeing her at events. And I think it would be a fantastic thing to see something like Jill Estorino coming to the Disneyland Resort and having that same relationship with the fans and the local community as they're moving forward in this new era of growth for the Disneyland Resort. That really, the closest I can compare it to is when they added Disney California Adventure in Downtown Disney 25 years ago to the Disneyland Resort. I think this could be that time, and it could be a new era like that where we really do get to see what can happen. Another thing to keep in mind with this, Jill Estorino is not going to be leading in a void. We are going to see, I think, a continuity of leadership, perhaps unlike we've seen in recent years or ever for the Disney parks. It seems to me that Thomas and Josh are like-minded people. It also seems to me, without having met her, and I will admit I haven't met her yet, I look forward to doing that Jill will bring the same thing to this new leadership role. She really seems to be connected to not just Disneyland Resort, but also Southern California, which is where she's been before. She actually worked in the Anaheim area before, working in marketing. years ago before she started working overseas. And so I think there is a connection there. And there's always something special about the Disneyland Resort that just connects with leaders, connects with everybody, I think, as Disney fans and Disney lovers when they come to the happiest place on earth. And I think that's going to be something to look forward to and to watch in the coming weeks, months, and years as Jill Estorino makes her mark on the Disneyland Resort. And the things I will personally be looking for is, are we still seeing those main kind of key principles of quality, of simplicity, of trust? Will she continue Thomas Mazloum's initiatives to really continue to up the quality level of what the Disneyland Resort offers? So much of it is related to hospitality. If she comes in and she's talking about human connection and hospitality and quality and things like that, and then acting on it, that's exciting to me. If she's also focused on keeping things simple, like it has gotten pretty complex to go to the Disneyland Resort. I had a friend come out from Minnesota that'd never been to Disneyland before, and she texted me months before she came, and she said, "What do I need to know to go to Disneyland?" And I practically wrote her a book. Like I was like, well, you need to know this, you need to know that, and reservations and park hopping and lightning lanes. And, oh yeah, there's food reservations. And, oh, do you want character like there's just so many things that we don't think about for us regulars when we go to Disneyland that really can be overwhelming for a first-time guest. And so my hope is that Jill continues the initiatives that we're seeing with Thomas of trying to make it simpler, trying to make it more accessible for families. I always think of some of my favorite memories as a child was getting to come to Disneyland. We didn't do it very often. It was once every couple of years. And getting to go to the happiest place on earth for one day of our vacation. And that one day you just lived off of. And usually there was like one moment or something from the day that you really connected with. But you think of the people and the families that come and they save up and they wait and they keep saving and they want to have that perfect visit to the happiest place on earth. I love the fact that the Disneyland Resort under Mazloum's leadership has been focusing on making that as simple and as easy as possible, even going as far as making a meal for kids. It's $5.99 that they get a hot dog. You know, like they're little things that really end up making the biggest difference. And I think that's something to be very excited about as we move forward into this new Jill Estorino era of the Disneyland Resort. Another thing to just keep in mind as we're moving into this new era, there are going to be different opinions. We need to look at ourselves as Disney fans and say, hey, are we a part of the problem or are we a part of the solution? Are we treating cast members and executives and other guests with kindness and being a part of that, creating a quality, environment for other people to experience Disneyland in? Or are we detracting it from other people? Are we helping make the most the happiest place on earth a happy environment? Or are we detracting from it? Are we building people up or are we tearing people down? And I really think that's something we need to be thinking about as we really enter a new era of the Walt Disney Company. It's had a lot of ups and downs the last few years. It's been cutthroat. Like there's been times where you sit and watch the shareholder revolts and the activist shareholders, and you kind of wonder, is this going to be the time that some activist shareholder comes in and takes away that thing that we love so much and changes it to something that we don't recognize? There's a difference we have. There's a reason we like Disney versus other companies. And so I think as guests, we have that responsibility to really be a part of helping with the quality, helping keep things simple, helping build that trust. Like, are we being reasonable with our expectations? Are we viewing this through the lens of this is a business, or are we viewing it through the lens of, oh no, this is a public park, I deserve this? Because I think when we view it through the lens of a public park, one, nobody would ever expect amazing characters, amazing food, amazing attractions, amazing entertainment, worlds that we can go to from a galaxy far, far away, or maybe with our favorite Avenger, or maybe we want to go for a Sunday drive with some of our favorite Pixar cars. But nobody would expect that at a public park. And I think quite often as guests, we take the perspective of we're entitled to this. Disney needs to give me this. It's a public service. When really this is a business. It always has been since day one. Walt Disney was always trying to figure out a way to break into the business, to diversify the business. Like there's so many stories you hear him tell of how he was always trying to better the business. And yes, he had the creative elements, and that was a big reason he was doing the business. And it was one of those things that fed each other. But we do need to remember, it is a business. There is responsibilities and there's other things that Disney has to take into account beyond, is it cheap? Is it accessible? Is it doing everything the customer wants? And I think there's probably also an element of this, of Disney works within a system that it didn't create. It's a part of it. It's a leader in it. But the business system that we live in the world we live and breathe in really is, something. It's like a massive ship. It takes a long time to turn it one way or the other. And sometimes I think the problems that we see or that we don't necessarily like with decisions Disney makes or how they do things or whatever that is, really is a problem with a bigger system that's worldwide versus a problem specifically with Disney. And yes, we can voice our displeasure in a kind and dignified manner, but we also shouldn't hold the opinion that we're deserved something, that we're entitled to this, because we're really not. This is something we pay for and we get to do because of the money we paid for. And along the way, we decide, is it worth the value of what we paid or not? And going back to what I talked to earlier, if you don't think it is, and you don't think Disney's doing you right, don't spend your money there. Don't ruin it for everybody else, but don't spend your money there. Vote with your wallet, and let's make the world a little bit better in a kinder way, and change things from the perspective of kindness and positivity and grace, as opposed to tearing things down, especially when we may not know the full picture. We may not know all of the perspectives of how decisions are being made or who's making these decisions, or maybe something that we don't even know that's a part of these decisions that are being made. I also just think at the end of the day, Disneyland has always been about making people happier. And I think that's what we need to focus on. Does it make you happier because you went there, or doesn't it? We don't need to nitpick. We don't need to tear people down. And we do need to be a part of making it and keeping it the happiest place on earth. So what does this look like for the future? We have got a lot to look forward to. We're going to see the continuity of care. This is going to come down from the very top. We're going to see Josh D'Amaro caring about people. We're going to see Thomas Mazloum caring about people. We're going to see Jill Estorino caring about people, particularly the cast members. And I think this is something that's very important, because cast members really are the glue that hold everything together. If you don't have great cast members, you're not going to have a great experience. So many of the experiences that we know and we love and we cherish and our core memories through the years come from experiences we had with cast members. And I don't think that's going to change. In fact, I think we're going to see even more of an investment in cast members. Yes, there will be training. Yes, there will be a cultural component of this. And hopefully there will also be more benefits that are added to the cast members as they navigate a very tricky world. And it's only getting trickier as we move forward. But I think as you get that investment in people, you're going to have happier cast members, you're going to have happier guests, and you're going to have a much healthier business for the Walt Disney Company. We're also going to see new attractions, new parking lot, new areas coming to the Disneyland Resort as Jill Estorino comes in. We're also going to learn, I presume, a lot of fun things at D23, the Ultimate Disney Fan Event this summer. And now we know that there's a very good chance that it will be Thomas Mazloum doing a big part of the Disney Experiences presentation. And that's going to be something to look forward as well. But my big Daps take on all of this is that the Disneyland Resort and Disney, but Disneyland Resort, it's really moving away from a period of recovery into a period of bold growth. And that's exciting. It's a period of growth for cast members. It's a period of growth for the resort physically, like as we get these new parking lots and attractions and experiences, and Bluey's best day ever in just about a week. And that gives me lots to look forward to and lots to be optimistic about. We have the right people in the right places at the right time to really see what can happen with the future of Disney when you put a whole slate of leaders that have a similar mind, that have a similar value, and have a similar vision for where Disney and the Walt Disney Company can go. And that's something to be very optimistic about. So my question for you, what are you excited about with Jill Estorino coming? She's bringing a lot from the international parks. What would you like to see her bring to the Disneyland Resort? Likewise, what would you like to see Thomas Mazloum take from what he's done here to that higher level of Disney experiences? There's going to be a lot to digest and to watch and to cover in the coming weeks, months, and years. And I'm super excited to cover it with you, to discuss it with you, and to just watch all of this come and be Disney fans together as we focus on Disney and positive stuff. So as we do look to the future, and as we move into this new Mazloum era of Disney experiences, Diamaro era of Disney, and Estorino era of Disneyland Resort, I encourage you to stay positive, keep kind, and keep looking forward to the future. We have so much to look forward to. It's going to be great. And if you would like to talk more about this, connect with me on social media, subscribe to us on YouTube, and then head on over to Daps Magic HQ and let us know what you'd like to talk about, or respond to this episode as well. We will have a blast doing it, and it's going to be a very fun era to be a Disney fan, I predict. But that is all the time that I have for you on this episode of Daps Magic Disney and Positive Stuff. Please leave me a rating. Please subscribe. Please join me over on Daps Magic HQ. We'll talk more about this. But for now, keep kind, stay positive, and we'll see you in the parks.